All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about stuff that, you're not supposed to talk about. And of course, I'm going to do my best not to, be too blunt and too out there with certain words because those words will get you in trouble. But hey, still doing what I do in real time for a few real people out here, just like you and just like me. Um, I'm constantly called a conspiracy theorist. And here's the story, though. And this comes to us courtesy of the Brooklyn Vegan. All right, the Brooklyn Vegan posted this. It says here stroke and brain damage after heart surgery. Judas Priest guitarist Richie Faulkner went through major emergency heart surgery. When did he go through that? When did he have that happen? 2021. 2021. And at the time, on my other channel, which is currently frozen in time, I was complaining that there were a lot of these things happening, and people would say, "You're a conspiracy theorist. You have no proof. There's no correlation. There's no connection between what everybody was." Look, folks, whether you thought it was a good idea or not, it was a crazy, insane, gaslighting, brainwashing campaign, fear mongering beyond what is acceptable. And people ran. They ran out to do this certain thing that I used to call it. I used to call it doing the thing, getting the thing. I used to call it a thing-demic, in case you missed all of that stuff back in those days. So anyway, Richie Faulkner, who had his aorta rupture on stage at the Louder Than Life Festival in Louisville, he's given an update on his condition and his recovery from surgery in a new interview. He says this, and you know what? It's mind-boggling that we're not going to talk about what maybe started the whole thing to begin with. We're just going to avoid that. And this is constant. And this is why sometimes I think, well, maybe I have jumped the gun. Maybe I have jumped the shark. Insinuating that this could be related to something that Richie had to do to go out on tour. Everybody had to do it, including the fans who wanted to attend the shows. By the way, we're also finding out that there were world leaders who had fake QR codes, like having a fake ID. Yeah, because they didn't want to do what everybody was saying you had to do. The experts, the so-called experts. So anyway, what's the bit of collateral damage that Richie Faulkner has right now? Well, he says he has brain damage from a stroke that he had a month after the initial surgery. So he gets the surgery to repair his aorta, and he bragged about being truly heavy metal because I think they had to use some metal clamps to get everything in place, which was kind of a fun line. But this is no laughing matter. Why can't someone... Because what? Because this definitely isn't related to what I'm talking about? All right, then clear that up. Come out and say this has nothing to do with what everybody was saying to do, because I didn't do that. No, because he can't say that, because I'm sure he went and did it. That's why he can't clear that up. Anyway, so it happened when he went back on the road. He says, I thought everything was fine. And by the way, that's the way they played this. Like, yeah, his aorta broke. We fixed it. He's back on stage. It's great. And I'm thinking, I would never go back on stage. Here's why I would never go back on stage. It happened when I was on stage And so I would try to avoid that atmosphere, because then you could tie it to maybe the loud music, maybe just being up there in front of all these people with this adrenaline. I mean, if there's some other defect that this guy had, why would you revisit that atmosphere and do that again? I would have immediately retired, said, you know what? I think I need to do something else with my life. But he's talking to Premier Guitar Magazine. He says, there was something in my right hand. I thought it was my rings. I wore these stupid rings for some reason, and I thought it was that. So I took the rings off. I thought it was impeding something. I was changing my guitar picks. There was something different. I could get through it, but there was something different about my right hand. And again, I could get through it. I was brushing my teeth one morning and thought, something's wrong with my right hand and the right foot, the right leg. So we went back in. I don't know, meaning to the hospital, I think. We did some tests. They found some damage on the right side of my brain, which affects the right side. Now, fortunately, I don't play guitar with my foot, so that's okay. I can get away with that. But my hand, obviously, that's our engine room, and everything started clicking into place in regards to what I was feeling on stage. There was something that was wrong, something that was impeding, something that wasn't right. So as I said, we did some more tests, and they found the damage. They said that the fact that it hasn't gone away means that it's not TIA. It's a stroke. TIA damage can go away. I don't know if they explain what TIA stands for. I'm sure somebody knows what that is. But anyway, TIA damage can go away. Stroke, he says, it's damaged. You've got damage in your brain. Now, I thought I had brain damage before, but this is real. It's a small thing on the left side. I don't think he was trying to make a joke there, but maybe he was. You know, there are a lot of guys who go out there and say they have brain damage and they're just kidding around, but he literally has brain damage. He says, on his decision to discuss his condition publicly for the first time, without talking about what was going on, and to see if the timing of this wasn't so obvious, I would say, yeah, you know, he's probably got some hereditary issue, maybe the rock and roll lifestyle. I don't know. I think in this instance, you need to start to go public. You know how people are going public now with the fact that the former president wasn't functioning, wasn't able to function, when people were saying, hey, I don't know if that guy has it all together. He looks a little confused. How come he's walking the wrong way off the stage? And they're trying to go and round him up and find him and, sort of herd him in the right direction. And people would say, he doesn't look like he's ready to be president of the United States. Maybe he shouldn't do that. So now people are coming out, and the only reason I'm mentioning this is because it's like after the fact. Now we're 4 years after this occurrence. Can anyone admit that maybe something happened that caused a guy like Richie? He was only 40 years old when this happened. So nobody can come out and say, hey, maybe it was that super safe and effective product that the experts are, by the way, still telling people in certain areas. I don't know what's going on with RFK and why he hasn't put the kibosh on this whole thing. Because are we truly in an emergency anymore? It's got the EUA, emergency use authorization. Hasn't that expired by now? I don't understand that. I think it's going to take like an act of Congress to stop it. I don't know. I would have thought on day one, the plug would have gotten pulled all of the ad dollars, everything that is behind the brainwashing campaign. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. You can do whatever you want to do with your life. You know, I used to use the car seat analogy, and now they'll recall, I don't know, they recalled something the other day, and I'm like, they'll recall that, okay, because one of those products failed or was contaminated. It was probably a food product, and they pulled it off the shelf. It was like Tyson chicken nuggets or something. And they pulled them all. They said, if you bought this, throw it away. Don't use it. But with this, there's possibly a negative effect. So what do? We continue to tell people it's fine. Yes, we recommend this. Yes, if you're of this age, you should do this. So Richie was 40, was likely told he had to do this in order to go out on tour. He was on stage in 2021. So then just prove it wrong. Do an interview and say, nope, it had nothing to do with that. And don't tell me your doctors, because I don't trust these doctors at all. Doctors don't see a link between the two. Really? So they've done all the research. They've produced all of the white papers or whatever, the peer-reviewed studies that would indicate that this had nothing to do with that. But he's going to talk about how he's struggling to play a rhythm pattern. He's going to talk about that he's not going to quit, that eventually he'll be able to do it. He says, but that's the way it is. That's the truth. So that's what I struggle with. That's the collateral damage. So he's struggling to play guitar. I don't know, folks. It's sad. It's sad because he's a pretty good guitarist, or at least he was a pretty good guitarist, but he's admitting here that he can't play guitar like he used to, and that this is the collateral damage from the heart attack and then another stroke after the heart attack a month later. I don't know if that secondary issue was reported at the time. I vaguely remember reading something about it, but maybe he didn't come out and talk about it then. But, you know, your aorta ruptures on stage, which is very unusual, folks. That isn't a normal thing. And nobody, like I said back then, nobody seems to look and say, wonder what the cause of that was. Just, you know, bad genetics, you know, he played guitar for too long. I mean, what causes that? So anyway, folks, those are the things that, again, I used to raise all the time, and people call me all kinds of names. And I'm like, okay, then what is it? What is it? What's your explanation for what happened here? And there are many, many others. There are whole, I don't want to say pages, whatever, over on X, but accounts on X that are devoted to all of these. And look at it this way. So say you've got 100 that they report on, 100 different instances where something weird like this happens, very suspicious. Say 5% of them, right? So 5 people were affected by whatever was happening in 2021. There should be a full-scale investigation, congressional hearings. I mean, the world should come to a halt so we can find out what truly happened here. But there's too much money, I guess, at stake. I don't know. There are a lot of people. And look, this may have adverse effects because people who should trust the industry, like when they have a problem, they can go to the hospital or go wherever. They're going to say, no, I don't want to go there. I don't trust these people. Some people are probably going to pay a price for what they've done, not what the people are pondering in their own mind, saying, I don't think I should go because look what they did here. You know, and we could get into all of the crazy treatment protocols and things that were done. It's just, I don't know, man. There seems to be a lot of money that was at stake, and people were willing to make that money at all costs. And they don't really care about, he talks about collateral damage or just damage. The collateral damage from the incident, not the collateral damage from the thing. Now, again, he doesn't say. He doesn't say. We don't even know. Maybe these guys all got phone calls like, hey, you better not talk about what we were telling people to do. If you had some kind of reaction, you better not come forward with this, or we'll ruin your career or whatever. I mean, you don't know. You don't know. Or maybe they just want to play for that team and they want to cover it up. People are willing to do ridiculous things to play for the wrong team. Yeah, I don't want these guys, those crazy conspiracy theory people, I don't want them having any victories. I don't want them being right, because if they're right, then my life is over. My world is over. The way I think about how the world works, if that goes away, then my identity is like toast, and people will mock me forever. That's the issue here. And no matter how loud the truth gets, people just get, better earmuffs or something. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they self-medicate. So anyway, folks, bottom line, we wish Richie Faulkner well. He should probably retire. I would get off the road, especially after admitting this. And then, maybe do a little talk about what led to the initial aorta rupture. Do doctors know why that happened? Did they ever state, hey, it's hereditary, his family had lots of heart issues? Or could it be like a substance issue? Could be. That's not much better. And then if you combine the substances with the other substances, the ones that are supposed to be safe and effective, that's a deadly concoction, or it could be. We don't know. We don't have any public information. There's a lot of information out there, but certainly it's not mainstream, or at least it's not being reported by the old, worn out, tired media, which is looking ridiculous these days. It's looking and sounding ridiculous. If there's good news over here, they're going to report it over there as a catastrophe, as the end of the universe. And so this is why you need to spend a little less time ingesting that. You just do. It's for your soul. That's why. Go out and take a walk, read a book, listen to a podcast, or just, but something that's not related to any of that stuff. And yeah, we wish Richie the best. We really do. A full recovery. But with brain damage, and he says there's not much you can do for brain damage. There's just not. So try to make the best of your life, and don't trust those people who tell you to trust the science, because the science is science fiction.